Hi, I'm Alice, and I'm here to teach you today about two-step equations. This is going to be a full lesson with some opportunities for you to practice as well as me teaching you. So get yourself something to write with and let's begin. This is part 2 of my series in solving equations. And if you're not sure about how to do this, go back and watch part 1, one-step equations. Today, we'll be covering equations which look like this and also like this. So there will be a combination of addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. They might look a bit different, but you'll find that it's all the same techniques being used, and we'll learn to use those in a flexible way. Now, step 1, as always, relax. If maths is something that makes you anxious and you'd like to get past that, this channel is for you. I'm here to teach you about the key maths methods that will make you make progress, as well as some techniques that can help you to calm your anxiety. When you do maths, you might notice some tension in your body or your brain saying negative things to you. It's also very common to have a mental block and even feel like your brain just isn't working at all. And I really would like you to know that this is completely normal. It's annoying, but it's normal. Today, as well as algebra, we're also going to be looking at acceptance. That means accepting that the anxiety, the mental block, negative thoughts, whatever, it's here. We can't just flip a switch to get rid of it. That doesn't mean trying to give up or trying to ignore it and bottle things up, though. What that means is trying not to fight it, because that's going to make you more upset and maybe feel frustrated or defeated as a result. Because fighting it, I'm afraid, is not going to make it go away. Instead, what you can do is recognize that familiar feeling, accept that it's here, and then focus on how to move forwards and feel more relaxed. It's like, oh, hi, here you are again, anxiety. I know you. You are a nuisance. But I'm going to try my best to take some slow breaths, relax my body, take a break if I need it, and then do my best to get on with what I'm doing. Eventually, over time, practice, you might start to notice that while the anxiety is still there, it's a little bit less distracting. There's more room for your other thoughts. And just like with maths, the more that you do practice, you will find yourself making progress. Anyway, let's get on with our equations today and try and practice some acceptance if stressful feelings come up. You'll see this emoji popping up now and again to remind you about that. Now then, here is our first equation, and let's just translate this out of maths language and into English. We've got a letter called A, which represents a hidden mystery number. We're going to find out what number the A stands for. So it says 3 times my number A, add 4 equals 13. Now, the first method we're going to look at today is working backwards. If you are in year 6 or maybe year 5 in primary school, or equations are something you're just starting in secondary school, this method may help you to understand what's going on and take your first steps. So we took our A, we times it by 3, that was our first step, and then we added 4 to the result, and we got an answer 13. Working backwards means we're going to do the inverse of each step, meaning the opposite, and find out what the number was we started with. So starting with 13, the opposite of add 4 is subtract 4. So will 13 take away 4 is, have a think about it, it's 9. And then we times by 3. So the opposite of times by 3 is divide by 3. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. So we have an answer 3. Is that right? Well, we can check if A equals 3 by working it out forwards. So 3 times 3 is 9. 9 add 4, 13. We're right. That is our working backwards method. So in summary, you start at the end and you do the opposite and you get back to the number you started with. It's a pretty effective method if you are just starting with equations. The advantage of our next method is that it also works with harder equations and with other algebra that we'll be doing in future. But anyway, we'll just do one more working backwards before we get on to our main method. So here we go. This means divide. So we have b divided by 6, first of all. Then we took away 4 and we got an answer 3. Now, to work backwards, what we just need to do is start with a 3. The inverse or opposite of subtract 4 is add 4. 3 add 4, 7. And then we divided by 6 to start with. So we'll times by 6 to do the inverse. So we get 7 times 6 is 42. Let's see if we're right, shall we? So is B 42? If we're correct, then you will find 42 divided by 6. That's 7. 7 take away 4. That's 3. We're right. Great. And so in summary, again, all you've just got to do is notice what order these operations were done in. So it was divide by 6 and then take away 4. So we do it back to front and opposite. So to find the answer, we start at the end. And so we add 4 and then times by 6. That's all there is to it. A very useful basic method for you. Now, we're going to move on to our secondary school more advanced method, which is called balancing. Now, at first, this may seem a bit more tricky, but it's a super useful method for you to use, which you'll find once you move on to the more advanced maths is really helpful with all kinds of different things. So how does it work? Well, first of all, let's look at what this all means. So I times my mystery number C by 3, and then I add 4, and I get an answer 13. Now, I said I get an answer, but our more advanced way of looking at the equal sign is the equal sign means these two things are the same. So 3C add 4 is the same as 13. And again, this method, you'll see it really coming into its own later on in this video series when we're working with more advanced equations, but it's pretty good here too. So you'll see I've done a weighing scales showing that these two things are the same. So what that means is anything we do to one side is going to stop it from being balanced and stop them from being equal. So to keep it equal, we need to do the same thing to both sides. And let's see what that means. So you'll notice it's actually just the same as the inverse method. It's just kind of writing it differently. So just like with the inverse method, we look for the second thing we did, which was add 4. You've got to remove the add 4 before you do the divide by 3. So the inverse of add 4 is subtract 4. So we take away 4 from both sides. Now on our weighing scales, how that will look is a 4 has gone from there. We've just got 3 C's left on that side. And on the other side, we took away 4 from 13, leaving us with 9. So we can see that what we now have is 3 C's is the same as 9. Next step, well, you already know the answer. I'm just showing you the method. Next step, divide by 3. Do it to both sides. So when we divide by 3 to both sides, you get left with 1 C on its own on this side equals 3 on this side. So just the same as the inverse method, as I said, just doing it in a slightly different way, which you might think, well, what's the point? But I promise you, it's going to be a really helpful method when you get to work on the harder algebra, which I'm sure you'll be ready for soon. Let's try another one. Now, if you like, anytime you think where you're ready to give things a try, you can pause the video and give it a try yourself. So I'll just work this one out with you. And as I said, pause it if you want and check the answer, or just work along with me. So the only difference here is that we've got a subtract 2 instead of an add 2. Like in the last one, it was add. But it works just the same way. We do the inverse. So we see subtract 2 was done second. So we will remove that first by adding 2. The effect of adding 2 is, if you think about it, if you've got a +2 and a -2 and you put them together, you end up with nothing. I gave you 2, I took 2 away, I have nothing left. So anyway, we add the 2, and on this side, add 2 cancels out subtract 2. And on this side, 8 turns into a 10. So we get 5D equals 10. Next, we just have times by 5 to undo, to leave us 1D on its own, which is what the whole point of this is, to find out what is that. So divide by 5, because it's the opposite of times by 5. And we will find the value of 1D, which is, what's 10 divided by 5? I'm sure you know it, or you can work it out. The answer is 2. So 1D equals 2. And just like before, you could actually check if you wanted to. So if D equals 2, then 5Ds would be 10. And 10 take away 2 is in fact 8. So we must have got it right. Now then, if you think you're ready to try this yourself, again, pause the video and give it a try. This time we've got no weighing scales, but just try and do the same thing to both sides, just like we did before. First of all, eliminate the number by doing the inverse to both sides, then find one of your letter by dividing both sides by the same number. So pause it if you are ready to try it yourself, or work along with me if you're not quite ready yet. So first of all, we've got 6e add 5 equals 35. We deal with the add 5 first. The inverse or opposite of add 5 is subtract 5. So to get rid of this 5, we'll subtract it. Both sides, remember. So on the left-hand side, we've got 6e, which means 6 times e, of course. And on the right-hand side, we've got 30, because 35 take away 5 is 30. Next step, this means 6 times e. So to reverse that and find out what e is on its own, we divide by 6, because divide by 6 is the opposite of times. And that leaves us with 1e on its own on this side. And on this side, 30 divided by 6 is 5. So we have our answer, e equals 5. Let's have a quick check. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 add 5 is 35. Great. How's that acceptance going? Now, time for you to have a go. Once again, you can watch me do it if you like, but I encourage you to give it a try. If you get it wrong, what's going to happen? Nothing. It's just me and you here. Now, are you ready to have a go on your own yet? If you're feeling a little bit anxious, then just remember it's only me and you here, and we know how anxiety works. It's not going to really harm you. It's just going to feel a bit uncomfortable. So whether or not you get it right or wrong doesn't really matter, does it? If you get it right, fantastic. If you get it wrong, well, you've just probably learned something about how to do it right next time. So I encourage you, even if you're feeling a bit apprehensive, to pause this and give it a try on your own, and then meet me back here in a moment for the solution. I'll go through this a bit faster this time. So 4f minus 7 equals 13. Opposite of minus 7 is add 7. I strongly encourage you to write this every time because it really will help you to get it correct. So 4f equals 20. Divide by 4. Both sides, remember. 4f divided by 4 is f. 1f in other words. 20 divided by 4 is 5. F equals 5. 4 5s, take away 7 is 13. Yes, it is. Now, practice makes progress. So it's your turn again to try and solve these on your own. If you're feeling very confident at this point, fantastic. If you're not, I encourage you to give it a try anyway. What's the worst that could happen? You get it wrong and then you learn how to do it right after. You'll be fine. Anyway, press pause now and then come back to me when you're ready to see the answers. Okay, 4g plus 2 equals 26. First, we'll take away 2 to give us 4g equals 24. Next, we will divide by 4 because that's the opposite of 4 times g. Do it to both sides, of course. So 4 times g changes to just g, and 24 changes to 6. So g is 6. Next over here we have 6 times h, take away 7 equals 35. So we'll do the inverse first of all of the take away 7 by adding 7. And then we will end up with 6h on its own on this side equals 42 on this side. Now all we've just got to do is divide by 6 because that's how many h's we have. And we want to get down to 1h on its own. And 42 divided by 6 is 7. So h equals 7. Now, by the way, we always, when we have an equation that looks like this one or this one, start by getting rid of this number. We always do that before the multiplication and division. Anyway, hopefully you got on well with those. If you're still struggling, no worries. I'm going to put a link in the description to a worksheet which will help you to practice this even more. Maths is something that most people don't get straight away. Most people need to practice. And I'm sure you will get there. Everyone works at their own pace. Or maybe you're absolutely flying at this point, in which case, well done, but I still encourage you to practice. Right, it's changed, but it's not changed as much as you might think. But we may remember from our other method at the beginning that all it is divide, and all that's different is you times to do the inverse. Now we've come a long way today, so if you're ready for a break, then take one if you need one. If not, let's continue. So we have I divided by 5 and then add 3 equals 7. So we'll start off with the inverse of the add 3 by subtracting by 3. Then we end up with I divided by 5 equals, what's 7 take away 3? It is 4. Then next step, what we need to do is do the inverse or opposite of divide by 5 to find out what I is. And we do times by 5 because that is the opposite. We get I equals, what is 4 times 5? 20. If we're correct, then just like before, we can check. So 20 divided by 5 is 4. 4 add 3 is 7. Excellent. Now we've got our last two to practice. So whether you're feeling very confident at this point or you're feeling still a bit shaky, I encourage you to give these a try, and I will meet you back here for the solution soon. Press pause. Okay, first one, we've got j divided by 2, take away 5 equals 4. So first we'll add the 5, giving us j divided by 2 equals 9, because 5 add 4 is 9. Next of all, we will times by the 2, because that's the opposite of divide by 2. And that will give us 9 times 2. Answer J equals 18. Last one. We've got K divided by 6, add 4 equals 9. So first we'll subtract that 4, both sides, of course. And we're left with, on its own on this side, K divided by 6. And on the other side, 9 take away 4 is 5. Final step, times by the 6. And you get K equals 5 times 6 is 30. We're done. That's it, we've finished. So next time we will be looking at unknowns on both sides, which looks like that. How did you get on today? Hopefully you made some progress. And if you would like some more practice, I have put a link in the description for a worksheet on Corbett Maths, which is a great website. And I'll also put a link for more videos of mine, which might help you with this method if there was anything that you found tricky about it. And finally, if you are struggling with anxiety to the point where you really think it's affecting your life, then just remember you're not alone. And there are plenty of people who can help you, who want to help you. So I've put some links to services to help with mental health if you need that. And thank you so much for spending time with me and learning maths with me today. And I will see you very soon. Bye.